They had coordinated all social institutions, apart from the churches and the army, into a vast and still inchoate structure run by themselves. They had purged huge swaths of culture and the arts, the universities and the educational system, and almost every other area of German society, of everyone who was opposed to them. They had begun their drive to push out the Jews onto the margins of society, or force them to emigrate. And they were starting to put in place the laws and policies that would determine the fate of Germany and its people, and more besides, over the coming years. Some had imagined that the coalition installed on January 30th, 1933, would fall apart, like other coalitions before it, within a few months. Others had written off the Nazis as a transient phenomenon that would quickly disappear from the stage of world history, together with the capitalist system that had put them in power. All of them had been proven wrong. The Third Reich had come into being by the summer of 1933, and it was clearly there to stay. How then did this revolution occur? Why did the Nazis meet with no effective opposition in their seizure of power? The coming of the Third Reich essentially happened in two phases. The first ended with Hitler's nomination as Reich Chancellor on January 30th, 1933. There was no seizure of power. Indeed, the Nazis themselves did not use this term to describe the appointment, since it smacked of an illegal putsch. They were still careful at this stage to refer to an assumption of power, and to call the coalition a government of national renewal, or more generally, a government of national uprising, depending on whether they wish to stress the legitimacy of the cabinet's appointment by the president or the legitimacy of its supposed backing by the nation. The Nazis knew that Hitler's appointment was the beginning of the process of conquering power, not the end. Nevertheless, had it not happened, the Nazi Party might well have continued to decline as the economy gradually recovered. Had Schleicher been less politically incompetent, he might have established a quasi-military regime ruling through President Hindenburg's power of decree. And then, when Hindenburg, who was in his late 80s, eventually died, ruling in his own right, possibly with a revised constitution, still giving a role of sorts to the Reichstag. By the second half of 1932, the military regime of some description was the only viable alternative to a Nazi dictatorship.